Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the podcast today, we have Swire Ho, also known as the Promo Guy. Swire, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on the show, Thomas.
No problem. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Swire. People also call me the promo guy. I'm in the promotional product business. So people normally, when they think about that, they think about, cheapies that they buy to give away. The way that we look at it, we look at, promotional product is a way that a development team can buy to make a better impression in front of their client. And also, I know we're going to talk about today, you can actually use promotional product to retain your current client to make them happy. And the ultimate goal that we found by using a great promotional product campaign is turn people that want to be associated with your brand. So then they are passionate about your brand, that they'll engage, refer, and connect with other people without even you asking them, because they like your company so much.
Yeah, so the topic of discussion is going to be customer retention today. But before we get into that, is it right you sold your company? Is that correct?
We were in a CD DVD replication business before, and then we sold the company in 2013.
So do you mind just telling me the story about that? Because I'm always interested to hear about businesses which either they exit or they get acquired or something like that. So do you mind telling that story before we get started?
Sure. In hindsight, it seems like a good move, right? Because when 2013, that's where when internet is getting faster, streaming is getting pick up. But then going back all the way to the beginning, I somehow stumbled on it because on the day of my honeymoon in 2003, I found out that the company that I worked for at that time went out of business. I was trained to be a recording engineer, and then the last company I worked for before I founded my own company, we also make CDs and DVDs, and we also do audio mastering. But then it's a small company, unfortunately went out of business. So I just got married and no job. So decided to went out on my own and, talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of cold call, didn't know anything better. So just basically old school, picking up the phone, contacting people. But then along the way, I find out that, I didn't make my service a commodity, because if you think about it, CD and DVD are kind of commodity at, a previous time. But then we actually found, ways to package them specially, because now they're known to us that we have all this fancy packaging. Sometimes you see a toy or a figure that put into a box set, they can sell you, a few dollar more instead of just buying you a disc in a box. So we are doing a lot of custom project, and actually kind of like how we transition to promotional product. When a musicians or when a movie are done, they ask, do you guys do t-shirts? Do you guys do merchandise? When we go on tour, we wanted to sell some of these stuff. Do you guys do that? And we said yes. So we somehow got into that industry. So when we sold the company, when I say we, me and my wife are a business partner. That's the we,
Okay.
right? And then we decided we wanted to do promotional product full time. So that's kind of like a short story version of this.
So how did it go from, being your day job, if you like, to being, is it right? You got acquired by a bigger company, right? How did that happen?
It's a local competitor. They always want to find out where we're getting the custom packaging, because at that time we were known for our custom packaging. For example, there are documentaries that are focused on sustainable. They want to be eco-friendly, so they didn't like all the plastic that we normally put in a DVD case. So we actually source material that are 100% post-consumer waste recyclable, and all the packagings are done so then you could really compost it if you like. So then it became a hit. So a lot of people come to us for special packaging. So a lot of people are looking onto us and see how we're able to do that, because we are, targeting those higher margin, if you will, clients. So local competitor always interested in talking to us, finding out what we're doing. When we decided we want to sell, we kind of approach them. It's a good mutual connection. So I stay on for about a year, carrying things over, and then, we're done.
So you actually approached them regarding them buying you rather than the other way around.
Yeah, we got into talking and then, figure out what is it that they would like to purchase. And then, we negotiate and then, it was a good fit because they were already in the industry. It's easier to do that and, from someone from the outside who didn't know, a lot about the business.
Are you happy with the transaction? Happy to exit at that point?
I think so, because, we had, kids then, it's a lot of stress, right? We actually took a year off. So that was nice. And then, but then we didn't just want to sit at home and do nothing. So that's why, we decided to start a new business.
And that's your promo guy brand, or your, brand products. You brand products. Is that right?
Yeah. So what we do is, easy way to think about it is a company wanted to promote themselves. They wanted to impress their client. So they will be finding the right item that are resonate with their target audience. And then they put their logo on it. And then they will be given out, in before COVID, at a trade show, at an event, or maybe they have a lunch and learn type of event. So they will give out this item. So then people can relate to them. Maybe they're selling a higher price ticket item, so people won't buy it the first day. So they're kind of building in the branding, so then when you think of this item, then you will think of us. So it's kind of like a gentle reminder of the company. So and then going towards to our conversation, then you can actually help. Imagine you just buy something that you're really proud of, but then you couldn't take it on the street with you. But then if the company give you a t-shirt, you might wear it, to wherever you're going to go. And then your friends, your colleagues going to say, who's that on the t-shirt? Then you actually speak about their company on their behalf without them paying you. All they have done is just giving you the t-shirt or the thing that you might be wearing it or using it daily. Then you're actually talking good things about them.
Okay, so regarding because I love the concept, regarding the customer retention stuff, the reason I wanted to discuss it with you is because I actually think it's an area that most businesses neglect. So you mentioned this prior to recording, but you basically said that once most businesses or some businesses get a customer, then they've got it and they don't worry too much about them anymore. They're just kind of focused on new customers only, and that's it. But as you pointed out, there's I agree as well, there's an awful lot of value that the customer has, and neglecting them can be incredibly expensive. So what would you say that you specialize or you know about customer retention programs? Mm-hmm. What is a customer retention program and how would you implement it?
Before I start that, you'll be a perfect expert to ask about this. What are the most competitive industry out there? And then how much do people spend on, their ad campaign to acquire a client? Do you have numbers like that?
For our industry or generally speaking?
For clients, like would they spend, let's say, 100 or 200 or 500? Do you, have a report or a study like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can give you rough numbers, but which industry do you mean? Do you mean my industry?
Let's say, if they are in insurance, because what I wanted to point out is, from what I've learned, right? So confirm if I'm wrong. For example, one of the popular industry here, it's, personal injury attorney. So you got into an accident and then you need a lawyer to represent you. So they would spend anywhere from 100 all the way up to 500 US dollar to buy ads to be in front of people. So when they search for, injury attorney, they will see that. But then afterward, they will think in their industry, when you're said and done, after your accident, then you're no longer a client. So then they spend $0 on retaining any client. But then in our case, chances are when I look at it, if someone is happy, you're able to help them, let's say, to get the insurance money that they're supposed to get. They are willing to tell people when the case is settled. So it is a perfect way. it's like a referral program. So what you do, you send them a thank you gift. Obviously, a thank you letter would be nice. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you check in to make sure that they're happy, they're satisfied with the experience. If you know that, then pass on the item to them and ask them actually for referrals. Do they know any friends, colleagues, family that might be in a car accident? So if the case, then you wanted to get the numbers with them. That goes on. The program can work for other company. For example, if you are selling, if you put a lot of money in marketing, right? You get a decent sized company and you work with, let's say, the marketing company, right? Then afterwards, you can actually use promotional product to ask your representative that are in there, do you think there are other colleagues of yours in the human resource or maybe the administrative department that might be able to use my service? So now you are using a way to ask them, and then you're using promotional product to kind of help the effort. So we found that, if you plan for it, the success rate for you getting the top referral that you're looking for a lot better.
Mm. So the one you outlined there was sort of in a way a one-time transaction. So you were referring to a business with no repeat custom, and you would either once they become a customer or once the business is concluded, you say thank you, and you give them a promotional branded gift of some sort, and you ask for a referral. Those are basically the 3 steps. Is that right?
And then also, like I mentioned before, let's say if I, purchase a car, right, at a dealership. So obviously I can't take a car anywhere, to my work. I'll park at the car park and then I'll go to work. But what if the dealership, gave them a t-shirt or gave them something they're proud of with the name of the brand of the car on it? So people will notice that they have a car, right? They say, where did you get it? Where did you get your car? So then the dealership, information are on the t-shirt. So they will look at what they're wearing. They'll say, I got it from this dealership, or they'll see the information on it. But then you don't want it to make it too hard sell, the logo to be way too big. It got to blend in. And then what we also, suggest to the client is always think about your targeted audience. Like, who are they? The more that you can tell us who they are, the demographics, the gender, the age, what kind of hobbies that they like, the better that we could find a gift that they will be resonate with. Because, for example, Thomas, you and I probably have different interests. We like different things. So something that works for me as a promotional product are not going to work for you. So as a marketer, it's our job to find out as much as about our target audience. So then when we spend our marketing dollar, either to acquire or to attain a client, then we can make the educated decision of what we should do exactly.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions about, because I feel like the gift, what you give, is going to be very important in how valuable it's perceived to the person who receives it. But you basically said that the answer is knowing who your customer is and what's important to them.
Yeah, because sometimes people will look at me funny, right? Because, I just want to buy a pen, right? I just want to buy a bag or whatever that they want to buy. But then I'll ask them the question, why would you want to do that? If you don't mind to tell me a little bit more, who are they for? What purpose are you using? Because I think clients sometimes they are afraid that they're going to miss out. They have, a certain marketing budget dollar, but then they wanted to target to, I use the word everyone. But in marketing, we know that you don't target everyone. You find your target audience and then you market to your target audience. There obviously are other people, everyone. You might not need to focus them right now. So whenever it calls for their attention, maybe to grow your area and then get into a new market, then you do another campaign. But then if you decided these are the people that are in your campaign, that these are your target, then you just focus on them, not have to worry about everyone else, because no one has a budget to target everyone.
Mm. Would you make a distinction between those one-time purchase businesses versus the recurring customers? So would your approach be different if someone was paying monthly, for example?
Yeah, because, if you got to find out why people buy from you. a lot of companies actually don't think about that. They think about, I got to spend this money, I got to place an ad, I got to be here and there to get clients in. But once they purchase it, do you know exactly why they purchased from you? And then you could obviously do a survey. You can actually pick up the phone and call them, so you can get more data. And then you could build up, what we call it a buyer persona, to know exactly from top to bottom how are they go through the journey, how are they going through the buying process. Are there any parts that you can improve on? So by constantly engaging with them. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. People spend anywhere, like I was saying, 100 to 500, or depending on industry. If you're an investment firm, maybe you spend $1,000, to get a client, because, over the value of their lifetime, they probably spend way more than that. But then afterwards, we don't really care about them. Like, when is the last time after you purchase something that a sales rep or a customer service actually call you? They probably don't. Like, you see automatic email, but then think about if you develop a program that you engage with them, that maybe your product and services are seasonal. Maybe when it changes the season, that if, let's say in the sports industry, that when you go to winter, you play a different sports than in summer. So if you are a good sports, apparel company, then that they probably are changing. There are little items that, knowing your client, that you can prompt them to think about this changing season. Maybe you need to upgrade your gear, or maybe you always think about buying this equipment, to go on your winter adventure. So by fall, then, if you're smart, then you could remarket to the client, which they will have a better relationship, because they already know who you are. For the cost for remarketing to your existing client would definitely be lower than, someone who doesn't know about your company.
The costs, or the probability that you're going to get money from someone who's already given you money is much higher than someone who hasn't given you money. So it's a good source of revenue for a business. And you said in let's say your letter to an existing customer asking for a referral, is that in exchange for because some businesses do, will give you a voucher, or, whatever it might be. What's that look like in terms of the referral? Are you just asking for it, or is there a strategy behind that?
Well, it depends on what it is. With the pandemic, we actually, doing more e-commerce. So if, in fact, our company has a lot of referrals to do, you can actually set up a solution to go online. And there are company now that, like you said, the voucher. So if you refer us, we give you maybe, X amount of dollar that you could go onto our website and, pick out the gift that you like. And then, we can drop ship that to you. You can do it automatic like that, or it could just be an old fashioned phone call, to really have maybe the representative to call to say, are you happy with your experience or the product? Can you think of a few names that could benefit from what we do? And then you give them the product itself. So I think it's to maintain the effort, because people spend a lot of time be on sales call, getting people in the door, right? But after they are inside, then you still got to retain and communicate with them whenever that you think is needed. So to maintain that relationship, because people want to be part of a brand, then you can do that to make them feel like they really are a part of your company.
Mm. And do you have any sort of popular products that people like to buy? Is it t-shirts and pens, or is there something new that you'd recommend?
Well, from right now, obviously the most popular one is still a printed face mask, right?
Right.
Hopefully, we'll get over that soon. But what we have noticed, it goes beyond retaining customer too. Now it's retaining employees, because as we know, more people are working from home. More people are working remotely. Before, even if you work for a bigger company, then you'll be in an office with a lot of people. Your supervisor, manager, the owner of the company, then they can kind of watch over you and see what you're doing, right? You belong to a team, that you wanted to feel motivated to work. But a lot of those people are working from home right now. And then if you're good at what you do, the headhunters know exactly where you are. So by me, I'm an active user on LinkedIn, and I connect with a lot of my clients. I know that a lot of them actually switching jobs. For the past year, I think I've noticed a contact of mine that has switched jobs 3 times already. So what that really means is because they're now working from home, it doesn't really matter if they work for company A or company C. They're still doing the same work. They, be in front of their computer. So they don't feel the sense of belonging to a team and a company. So we have been doing a lot of employees kit that we actually help send to all the employees that they have. So then they feel like they're part of the team. We give them different t-shirts, different items, or that can enhance their work from home experience. Or we even send out, we can even send out a branded webcam or a more decent microphone to make their Zoom experience better. So we're actually doing more of those because the human resource department know that they need to make sure that the employees are happy at home, so then they can keep the employees and not have someone, to steal the employees, which again, if you retain the employees, it'll be a lot cheaper than you acquire a new employee who have the same skills level and you have to train them.
Sort of the same principle, isn't it? With respect to the customer and also the employee. So you can, if you send them something that it makes them feel more engaged, then you get the same result. You get more loyalty, right?
Yeah, it's not really a new concept, but it's just like human interaction. Because if I'm nice to you and always care about you, and you feel that I am caring, then you will look at me differently too. Then it is something that transactional. Then you don't have any loyalties to the brand. That's how promotional product can help. I would say you use it as a tool along with other campaign and strategies that you might have.
What's the most advanced kind of or in-depth program that you've seen a company do?
I think with what we have, and especially for people who normally will go to a trade show or exhibit at other conferences, they're moving online, and I think people are getting smart. You and I probably been on a lot of Zoom meetings. Right? People have been on like 10 Zoom meetings a day. It gets boring, right? Even if that person normally are an engaging speaker. But then if you're on a computer, people talk for like 15 minutes. You can't help but you start scanning your email, and maybe you check Facebook, right? You start people looking around. We actually, along with the client, came up with what we call engaging kits. So imagine you attend a conference, or maybe, people think about a company gathering. The CEO talks for like 45 minutes. No one really want to have time to do that. But then we send them a kit, along with items and sometimes game that they can play. So the speaker now can speak for maybe 15, 20 minutes. Everyone go to maybe a breakout room, and then they take out the item that was pre-sent to them, and they play a little kind of game or an activity that are related to the topic. So we get people back and engaged, maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute breaks. And then now we're reset, and then we're now ready to get on to more information. So I think this is something new that, company and us have discovered to engage and get the attention of the people, because it's pretty hard to sit it through a 2-hour meeting in front of your camera. You're just sitting there and listen to people talking.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What kind of game was it, out of interest?
Well, it could be a jigsaw puzzle, or it could be something that relate to the company. And we haven't actually done for a hotel. We send out all the mixing drinks ingredients to all the recipients. So they still have a bartender, right, holding the exact item. This is how you make a drink. This is how much you put in, ice, whatever it is, and then you mix it, and you actually drink it with everyone during the Zoom meeting. How fun was that? And then they continue with their presentation. So again, this will think about who your target audience will be, who will be attending the meeting. Then we'll have different ideas that we provide to the client. I actually learned this from I have 2 kids. They attend school virtually. That's how the teacher does it. When she talks for 20 minutes, they'll have the kids stand up, jump around, and do activities. And then sometimes, they will send activities to the kids. So whenever they go through 30 minutes or 45 minutes, they'll have the kids do some activities together, and then they reset their mind, and then the lesson begins again. So kind of stole that idea from the teacher.
It's where some of the best ideas come across, right? You take them
Yeah.
from another industry.
Yeah. I like to pay attention to different industry and different people, how they're doing and engaging with their audience. And then I kind of put that into the business to see if I can use similar, ideas to help my clients.
So, what are some of the worst customer retention programs or examples that you've seen?
Is that worse?
The worst ones, yeah.
Well, it's the worst is they don't do anything. They would think that
Other than that,
they get the client in, they don't want to spend, like I was asking, to you, because if you would spend $500 to acquire a client, and you're spending $0 to retain a client, so how much more would you want to do? Maybe when you retain a client, doing the math, you might spend maybe anywhere from 20 to 50 to retain a client. But then, I ask people to think about, it's sometimes they don't want to listen to it, or maybe they don't figure out, the math behind it. Like we know that we need to market our product and service, and then there's a cost for running a business, obviously, right? But then why don't you balance it? Maybe spend equal amount, or depending on what your particular goals are, spend more money on retaining a client. Things that I do, instead of giving you a worse example, I'll give you this as a math example. For example, you have, let's say, $2,000 that you want to spend, right, for retaining your client. Would you rather to spend it to everyone that are co-client to you that don't know about your business, or tell me who your top 10 clients are, and then we do $200 per client. So then you can find something really nice to make them happy. Do you think that if your top 10 clients increase their order with you, will affect your bottom line, or all those 2,000 new clients order from you will change your bottom line? What do you think that might be?
I think that's probably that there would be tests done on that, and I think it would probably vary by business. I think that there's probably some examples where if you treat your customers well, the revenue would explode. And then there's other examples where if you spend that much on advertising on new business, it can do really well. But I think the principle is that basically people don't do anywhere near enough on customer retention, and they focus too heavily on new business. I think that's a fair conclusion, right?
Yeah, because on your success rate too, it depends on the industry, because just because you want to market to 2,000 people, not all 2,000 people are going to respond. But then if they are already your top 10, then they know who you are. You already do a lot of business with them. So I assume that you have a good relationship. So it's a lot easier to approach the top 10 and send them something nice, and to ask them maybe to increase their order. I think the return for getting a top 10 will be better than if you target 2,000 people out. So, again, depending on industry, you might only get like 10, 15% of those respond. So which way would you rather focus on if you only have a certain budget? I'll always encourage people to think about your top 10. You got to keep the top 10. You got to make sure that they love and connect with your brand, because they are your top 10 client who are giving you the most business.
Yeah, it's a great point. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you actually got into this business? Because you're doing some quite innovative things, and I understand it was kind of branching off from your previous business. But how did it all change? If you see what I mean?
Well, I always like to find out the unobvious when, most people just walk by and miss the opportunity. I'm the type of person, when we sit at dinner, I'll look under the table to see what kind of chairs, legs they have. So I like to go into different industry, and I would study what works for them, what don't work for them. That's how when we were at the DVD industry, I found out that there's actually a lot of demand for people looking for alternative packaging other than the DVD box, and they want to do a box set. They want to be better than everyone. I think that the key for us to in business is, I don't want to be a company that sells commodity. Commodity is in that industry. You sell pants, you sell t-shirt, but 100 other company can have the same pant and same t-shirts. So it's the thinking, it's the question that we ask, and it's the willingness to develop the program with our client that keep us separate than a commodity type vendor. We wanted to try to, the thinking will be, can I make myself an advisor to my client? Because you will change vendor constantly. But then if you find a good advisor, then you will always go to them for, suggestions, ideas, and you will seek out for the advice. And then in return, they'll help you. And then that's how I'm able to, make sure that my clients are happy and keep coming back.
That reminds me of, have you heard of Jay Abraham at all?
Mm.
He advocates being a trusted advisor rather than treating it as like transactional.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough because our industry is a commodity, and you can find the same pen in really a lot of other places. It's just you have to ask more questions. You have to be more willing to work with people. There are transactional company like ours, e-commerce really big and big warehouses, and they just sell a pen making like 10 cents profit, but then they sell millions of those pens. So it's another different model, but then we like to focus on, more of the client and the why and the campaign. So I think it's more fun that way.
Mm. And what's some of the most innovative products that you've given away, other than the ones that you mentioned that with the drinks?
Well, I think for innovative, it's not one that you haven't seen before. Probably when the product get onto promotional product, then you probably be on the retail market. Then they know that when people wanted to co-brand with them, that's why I'm saying. But then as we change, as we pivot via the pandemic, there are different ideas that are available. For example, the Zoom one that I was suggesting, the employees one that is setting. I think especially if you're a nonprofit, if you are a school that are thinking about fundraising, the old traditional way is to have a bunch of people here, then you wine and dine them, and then you ask them for their kind donation. But right now we couldn't really do that. So another thing that we actually have developed is, putting online fundraising store for all this nonprofit and schools, so that their item or their meeting can be online, and you can find a new way for a supporter to support your organization. So I think not really the item specific, but then how we actually use and execute these items on behalf of the client.
It's about being a little bit creative. So let's say you have someone who is a typical business owner, if you could use that phrase, typical business owner, mm-hmm. and they're neglecting their current customers. What are the first few steps that you would advise them to do?
Well, I would say if they haven't thought about that, for the idea to retain the client, obviously, start thinking about that, and then put together a list of your most frequent client, the people who like your business the most. Who are they? What are their specific about why they do that, and make as many notes as you can about their client. And then that will be your ideal client. So as you want to market to them, you want to be able to clone those clients. If you know that if they fit all this profile, this person are going to spend the most money at my product and services. What if you can find a way to make these people and you can clone them 10 times, 100 times, or 1,000 times? So then when you place an ad or when you buy promotional product, then when I ask you, who are these people? What do they like? What are their hobbies? Where are they going to hang out? How are they going to consume your product and services? The more that you can tell me, because we have over 10,000 items that we have available right now in the catalog. And then when we go, to custom, there's unlimited. But you don't want that. You don't want all this 10,000 items. It doesn't really work for you on some of the things. And the more that you can tell me, I can funnel it down to the exact item that when you send it to the recipient, they'll be so happy. They'll be taking pictures and posting on social media and talking about you. Look at what, this company has sent me. They know what I do, and they actually help you promote it. Company pay internet influencers a lot of money just to, pretend they use the product, and then they post on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. But then what about a real client who are now really happy with you? And then obviously they have less influence, but then we can always affect people around us, at least 10 people, maybe our spouse, our kids, our colleagues, our best friend, right? So what if this, you can turn all these clients that we really have into brand advocates. So they actually go out and tell people, hey, check out this brand. You should buy this product or use this service. Think about it in terms of their perspective, because a lot of company, when they come to us, they want to say, so what do you have? I want to buy this. I want to buy that. But then think about it. Does the recipient want to receive it? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't think like that. They think, oh, I just want to buy this. That's what I want. But are they really want to receive that? Sometimes, you got to ask yourself that question.
Well, yeah, it's a good philosophy, because if you think about, before you attempt to buy a product, for example, if you were to ask the question, is the person who received this going to like it so much that they, let's say, are willing to put it on social media and just be so happy that they received it? And if it's a mug or something, then maybe that's not the case. But if you know your client so well that it's probable that they would do that, then that kind of answers the question in terms of what they would like to receive.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. People think about, oh, if I have to go that, I have to spend a lot of money. Think about, because I imagine that, I purchased this mic, Shure mic, right? And they give me a sticker. It's a sticker. It costs nothing to print, but I'm proud of buying this mic. And then they actually send me a sticker, and it kind of resonated with me. Now the sticker is on my desk. So it could even be something small like that. So think about how people will consume and use your product and services. So the more that you know about where they are, how they spend the day, the better I can suggest a product. If you, for example, going to a more specific, that your users are going to be spend the whole day in front of the desk, then you want to focus on picking something that they can display on the desk. So maybe there'll be a desk item, maybe a phone holder, maybe even with the popular, it could be a webcam cover. They're inexpensive item, but then that these people are going to see your logos every day and be a kindly reminder. I think the best I've ever worked for a client, he is a ESCO officer. His target clients are real estate agents, buy and sell houses. So what it does is it's nothing fancy at all. He has a 30 days calendar. It's pretty big, like this big, that he will hand drop to all the realtor offices every month. So the key point was he will show his face every month to all the realtors, and then he will give them the calendar for that month. And then he make the face-to-face connection. And he also gave an item that they're going to use for the day, because they can make notes on it. So then it serves a lot of different purpose. So whenever they sell a house, they need escrow service. Who do you think they will call right away?
Yeah, well, I have seen calendars used before. That is a good example, because I have seen that as a promo giveaway.
Mm-hmm. You get them for a year.
Yeah, sure. It sits on your desk, as you say.
And then I like to encourage clients, because if you know that you're going to spend marketing, if you're a seasonal business, then, people are probably thinking about, if they're planning ahead, they're planning about fall or even Christmas right now, 2021, then why don't you buy, sometimes, people like to save money, right? But then when you ask them to save money, sometimes they say no. Actually, in summer is the best time to print calendars, right? If you buy a winter jacket in the winter, it's going to be expensive and not on sale. But then if you buy a winter jacket in summer, it's going on sale. So it's seasonal, and sometimes I will have different clearance special. They're off season that you can use probably for next season. Then, that's how, sometimes people, they always want to save money, and other things. We buy off season things for later on use. So, that's another, consideration if you wanted to plan out, for the entire year's worth of promotional products.
Well, we're about to approach Valentine's Day. So have you got any Valentine's Day promotional stuff on your site?
Yeah, a lot of edible stuff, chocolates, people like to eat sweets, on Valentine's Day. So, but then this year you still got to melt them out. So probably right now it's too late to send them out. But then a lot of chocolates, a lot of sweets and, hot chocolates. So those are popular as well.
Well, it sounds like a pretty interesting business. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, because I like to be more, on the creative side and, not just dealing with the commodity. So I really am curious person and I like to find out, why people do it the certain way. And then, I really wanted to have the open dialogue with the clients. So because the more that we know about them, I think the better that we could help them.
And have you got any case studies of, interesting, let's say, a client sends out 100 letters or something like that, and along with your referral recommendation, and they end up getting a load. Have you got any case studies like that?
Yeah, a recent example is we help a elementary school here in Northern California. They normally will sell the T-shirts and product in person whenever there's a school function or whenever parent drop their kids off to school. So right now, everyone is at virtual learning, but then they still want to have the parents and the kids to have a school spirit, right? So we decided to put a online store for them. So we have T-shirts, we have hoodies, we have hats, all kinds of items on the site. So they actually emailed it to all the parents, to the family. Normally they would do about $4,000 to $5,000 per year for selling this type of item, but by putting it online, parents can actually send it to grandparents who are out of state or not in the city. They actually have over $7,000 of merchandise sold in a 2 weeks period. So now by doing virtually, they're able to do more than what they normally do in person. So, and now we are about to start another campaign for spring. So hopefully we could help them to generate more funds to support, the learning experience. So I think of it virtual, just because that, what you're used to for marketing are not available right now doesn't mean that you have to stop. There are always different ways to do that. There are always a new app, a new strategies to come out. Maybe check it out, broaden your horizon and, find out maybe if this new technology can help your business.
That's a great point. And do you, for your existing clients, for your business, do you send out promotional stuff with your logo on it to them?
Yeah, and just like what I preach, we identify who our top clients are for that year. So we'll send out and think about who they are. The challenge sometimes is they might be in different industries, so we got to be a little bit more general. But then I think sending the item is one thing, but I always, as a good representative, I would do check in. I do go old school. I call them, not to sell them or anything, but then really in the times that we're in right now to check in, to really find out, no strings attached, how you are, are there, other things that you're doing. I like networking a lot. So if they mention something that I know another company or contact that can help them, I really do my best and go of my own way, try to connect them to help them with whatever problem that they have. Maybe they need something in accounting, maybe they need something, finding a nicer worker for the company. I will recommend to the expert that they want. So that's another way that I will build goodwill to the client. Not only you could come to me for my product, you can also come to me if you have a particular problem that you want recommendation on the subject expert. So I'm known to my client for having that resources.
You're an example then. I also like the way that you referred to picking up the phone as a old school. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, old school. I mean, it could be a Zoom call, right? That I consider like a Zoom call. Right? I think it's more. It's better. You could. You kind of have to pay more attention than if you're on the phone. Sometimes you walk around and you're not paying attention. So, technology can actually bring us anywhere in the world right now. Look at you and I. We're different continents and we're connecting. So, I also encourage people to think bigger. Maybe you're only in your geographical area, But then even if you think you're strange, you're weird of your product and services, there are a lot of people in the world who are like that. Maybe they're always seeking out on your product, but they couldn't find it. Now, with the technology that we have with Zoom, you can actually attract people around the world. So maybe you can actually grow your business by having people virtually. There are a lot of companies are like that right now.
Have you got any closing thoughts on customer retention or anything that you feel like we haven't covered?
I think, first of all, you do want it to, if you haven't done so, go through your client list, maybe check your CRM, or maybe check your accounting software. You got to know who your top 10 clients are. That's a must, right? So you obviously got to retain them, keep them, make sure that they're happy, and then develop a profile of your most profitable type of client. So obviously, if they spend the most money, if they're willing to spend more money than the others, then these will be the most important group, and then move down the line. So you want to know exactly who likes to purchase your product and services. And then it kind of help you improve on your presentation too, because if you know that they check all the profile, then I know that they pretty well will fit into the group that are already purchased. So it kind of force you to a different mentality, and then you get better once you know who exactly likes to purchase from you.
That's a good point. How many businesses do you think go through that process of having like as you say, a top 10 list?
Not a lot. Even for bigger companies, sometimes we work with, they will look at me strange and say, why do you ask that question? People just buy because they want to buy, but then I know who my top 10 clients are, obviously. But I think you always wanted to go through that because, what if you could find out a way to clone your top 10 client? Then you have top 20 client who spend a lot of money with you. Would that affect your business? It would be yes for any business. So, but then you have to really know them. So when you know that there's another company who fits the profile of your top 10, then you know that you can really help them with your product and services.
When you look at the top 10 customers, do you do it by revenue or profit, like most profitable customers?
Well, I'll first look at the money that they spend with us. So that's the first criteria. But also I'll look at, maybe it is a bigger organization. I already have some relationship with them. Maybe normally it's the marketing department, right? But if they're a bigger company, I know that the administrative department can also purchase from me. The HR department can purchase from me. Or maybe there are other, maybe there's an event department, maybe there's other department that can purchase from me. So I actually dive in and I use LinkedIn as a good tools to find out who they have connect with. And then if you're smart, then you do your research. Then I will actually, when I approach my contact at that big company. So I know that Susan works as HR. Do you think you can make me an introduction to her? Then it will be better. Then you already tell her who you wanted to connect with. It will be easier. Then can you think of someone who can use that business? They will say, oh, we'll think about it, and then nothing happened. But if you do your research, if you really know the demographics, or even if you have a regular client say, I know that you like to play sports in winter, using the jacket that we sold you. Do you know other enthusiasts that like you travel with to the winter that can benefit? So you're actually painting the picture of the best referral that you have, and you're telling your existing client so they can think of people that are like them, that are a similar interest, maybe their buddy that goes along with them to use your product. So then you're getting more people to sign on to be advocates of your company.
It's a great point. So at the end of, or near the end of every podcast that I have, I always ask, what are your business goals?
I think the business goal, our industry are shifting. Not really sure, and I don't know what the prediction are when people start going back to event and trade show. So obviously before it was a bread and butter. Are we just going to stay virtual? Or a lot of businesses I learned, especially here in America, they might not go back to their big offices before where they have like thousands of people in there. They're working virtually. So are we my goal is to be able to pinpoint those trends and then, pivot our company to be able to still be an advisor to my client. Because if my ideas are not relevant to my clients anymore, I'm not going to be that advisor that they're going to reach out for. So a lot of studying, a lot of pivoting, a lot of paying attention to different industry. But then it's kind of fun, learning something new every day.
Okay. And where's the best place for people to find you?
Well, you can actually Google my name. Yeah, the exact phrase I have here is Swire Ho hashtag the promo guy. You see some of the projects that we have, some of the blog posts that we have, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look for Swire Ho. And I love networking. I love to learn more about your business.
Well, thank you very much for being a great guest, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, bye.